I've been hoping this will last. I know we were moving fast. I would cherish every moment, every kiss and every touch. You're my summer love, yeah.
No rewinding, no rewinding, forward motion.
Bitch, I'm a vet, I got rank, I got stain, nigga. Ice my bitch, ice my wrist, mud in my drink, nigga.
Eyes are diamond, I keep it shining, forward motion.
Real in my veins, no vein cane, and I'm that pain, nigga. My bitch bad and way too real to fuck with a lame, nigga.
I keep it shining, my mind's a diamond, my mind.
Welcome to the Gag-Order, where we challenge everyday norms and inspire change. My name is Ali Major, and I'm joined by my fabulous co-hosts, Majine and Kia. Tonight, we're going to begin a topic that is so in-depth, I had to break it into 5 episodes. So deep into the topic of speech. So let's dive into the topic of speech regulations and freedom of speech. Before we jump into this discussion, let's set the stage. Hate has become a flashpoint in ongoing debate about freedom in speech. Expression has become what of a thing of, outlandish outburst. It poses questions about our rights and how they begin or how they are being navigated into today's society. So let's start with some educational context. Why don't we?
The First Amendment gives Americans 5 basic freedoms: freedom of speech, press, petition, assembly, and religion. While all 5 are important, perhaps freedom of speech is talked about the most. Free speech is the cornerstone of our democracy. Although what you say can have consequences, like losing friends or a job, it gives Americans the right to express opinions without government censorship or control. And more importantly, you can't go to jail for expressing your opinion. It not only protects the speech that people like, but speech that people don't. Because when it comes to free speech, either everyone is protected or no one is at all. It allows citizens to support political movements and candidates. It gives people the power to call out government corruption and abuse. And most importantly, it empowers people to give unpopular opinions. The civil rights movement is a perfect example of free speech in action. During the 1950s and 60s, civil rights activists such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. were able to use free speech as a tool to force change within society. By exercising their voice, civil rights activists were able to outlaw racial discrimination that plagued the nation. But in today's politically charged climate, some people believe the government should restrict certain speech. But thankfully, because of the First Amendment, everything from car commercials to fiery protests are protected.
So let's jump into this. What do you both think constitutes a hate speech, and how do you feel it impacts communities? Hello, can you hear me?
Well, I think that anything that is derogatory or negative toward another person could be classified as hate speech. And I think that the way it impacts society all depends on whether or not it's a popular or an unpopular opinion, your circle of friends, your different groups. There are certain things that are acceptable amongst certain people that are not acceptable amongst others, and so on and so forth.
Correct.
So
That's correct.
and it's a slippery slope because it's only okay as long as it's the popular opinion, right? So if everyone is against a certain thing, like what if tomorrow murderers became okay? So then is it hate speech to be negative towards somebody who murders people if they're okay in society? So something relevant to what we're going through now is the whole thing with the pedophiles. They're trying to say that now they're a minor attracted person, not a pedophile, and that it's not a crime because they can't help themselves. So again,
I think you're taking hate speech a little too deep. I don't think hate speech goes into pedophiles or murderers or any of that. I believe that they are subject to the vile. I was on Front Page and they said a bunch of bullshit about me. So you got to understand that I think those are open doors to whatever the fuck the public wants to say. The fact
but
of
that was my point.
huh? What'd you say?
I said that was my whole point, is that it's only relevant to whatever is being said within the society. So it's only hateful if it's against a certain person or thing that is being, hated on, per se.
That's true.
That's
Hate speech can
because
hate speech has a wide range of ways to constitute itself. I mean, let's face it, the English language is a vocab that is vast and it changes yearly. Kia, can I get your aspects on what you think of what constitutes a hate speech and how do you feel about it, how it impacts the community?
I feel like what constitute a hate speech is how somebody was raised, like the background, like the way that their parents was raised and their beliefs. Like I feel like hate speech is passed on from generation to generation.
Mm.
Like depending on how somebody's grandparents was raised, that was inflicted into their child's thinking, the way that they believe everything. So like, your parents normally, you listen to everything they say, like whether you hear what they say, whether you respect what they gotta say, you hear it. And like that's just what they believe. So then you naturally tend to fall in line with it. Like so I feel like it impacts the communities because, like, if everybody in one neighborhood or one community is raised underneath the same thoughts, like I guess the same thought processes,
Mm-hmm.
and like they can make one negative comment, and that whole neighborhood or the whole community is all in agreement with it. That's how it starts to impact it.
Okay. So what you're saying it kind of belittles the people or makes them feel downgraded or segregated. That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically.
Got you. I agree. The word hate in speech and freedom of speech. This is why we're starting with this topic on the topic of speech regulations and freedom of speech. They are very close and two in the same. Somebody's feelings is what's coming out of their mouth. So I mean, is it relevant? Their feelings are relevant, and that's put inside the First Amendment. And I'll get to that later because I think I have a slide for that. But yet, and still, these things are a very slippery slope and it's a tightrope. It's a tightrope to walk in 2024 with Meijin. I spoke to you about this, the pronouns and how to and how to communicate with people has even changed, and you really have to walk a tightrope with that because it becomes discriminative if you say certain things or if your demeanor is in a certain language. Are we all in the agreement of that? All right. So
absolutely.
So I would also now at this time I would like to go and pull up another slide that I have here, and this is called hate speech, and this is about hate speeches.
Every day people are targets of hate speech because they're Muslim, gay, Jewish, a woman, disabled, a Christian, Asian, white, old, Roma, black. Anyone can be a victim of speech that incites intolerance, discrimination, and possibly even violence. It's hate speech, and it's monstrous and unacceptable. But when the unacceptable starts to be accepted on the web, in the media, in political speeches, this insidious monster grows and expands to severely threaten human rights. We must stop hate speech now by monitoring and denouncing violent forms of expression, by educating our communities, and most of all, by treating others with respect. Let's clean the digital streets. Let's face hate speech together. Join forces with the Facing Facts community to confront hate speech.
So that video right there on hate speech, did we was it clear enough? Did I play a good video first? All right.
Yeah.
So my next question is going to be, in your opinion, where should we draw the line between free speech and what is called the hate speech? Meijin.
Yeah.
You can't?
Yeah.
Okay. And why is that?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate?
Absolutely, because it's exactly what you had said. So, vocabulary, words, societal viewpoints, it changes extremely rapidly. At this point in time, almost year to year, right? So, therefore, what is considered to be hateful speaking can also vary that quick, and then it becomes um, what's ever being dictated by society, right? So free speech means, regardless, I can have my own opinion and I am able to voice it. It doesn't matter if it hurts your feelings or not, as long as I'm willing to suffer whatever the consequences may be of me, putting forth my opinion. So whether that be, you beat me up, or I get outcasted by society, or if it's more violent, maybe arrested, I don't know. But I still have the option to express my opinion. When you start putting labels on things, such as hate speech, or even good speech, you know, either way, when you start allowing the government and allowing society to dictate how you're allowed to think, it becomes a bad thing.
True.
So,
That's true. It does. Your personal feelings in this world has to matter. They have to matter. They at least matter to you, if anybody else. And we are a society of people, and our feelings as a whole matter. But it does matter what the next person feels, and there are things called ethical value. Ethics play a large part inside society. You know, how you treat, how you want to be treated, how you should be treated. That plays a part in every aspect that we live in life, our workforce, how we treat our neighbors, how we treat our friends. Ethical values, they actually play a big part in society. So I mean, see, Meijin, that's what I mean. This is so in depth. This subject and this topic was so in depth that I could not do it within one show or two shows, because
So
excuse me, what would you say?
sorry, I was ready to say, so like when it come down to drawing the line between free speech and hate speech, right? I
Mm.
feel like everybody should be able to say how they feel, but I feel like if you just don't agree with the comment, like they need to let it slide. Like I don't feel as though I don't know. I feel like everybody's entitled to their own feelings. Everybody's entitled to say what they want. It's literally all in how you interpret it, how you receive it, and if you're open to having an actual conversation in order to break down, in order to release it from being considered a hate speech, instead of just turning it into a comment that could be technically considered as free speech. But the emotions that come behind it and the tone with the conversation and whatever comment or whatever is being said plays a part in it too because of the delivery.
Yes, it's all about delivery and your point. The point is everything about a hate speech. If the speech is dictated purely for hate, then it's considered a hate speech. If it's considered purely on, this, I talked to a guy before. His name is Colorado, and he was from Colorado, and he was a separatist. And I don't know what drew us to talk to each other, but we ended up talking to each other. We talked to each other for a little while, and he started to explain to me why he called himself a separatist. And I had questions. I'm a very insightful person, so I like to ask questions. Um, so I would like to say that during my interactions with him, I found out that his beliefs wasn't far-fetched. His beliefs wasn't far-fetched, but yet and still it was not modernized to a modernized place. He believed in, he was a separatist, so he believed that white people need to deal with white people. And he said dealing with blacks or any other race, he said it can happen, but yet and still the way that they're supposed to live is by themselves. So, I took that into account, and then I thought about society and the world and how society grows and how uh, things move in the world. And I said that it can't be a reality, because think about it. Who builds buildings? Who who do these things inside our economic system that can't be retracted from their culture. Am I right, May? Or you can talk to me and say something, if I'm if you feel differently or if you
I
want
was
to interject.
listening to, nope, I was just listening to what
All
you
right, that's
said.
a bet.
Um,
Um,
I feel, I honestly feel like we limit ourselves when we lock ourselves into those kind of beliefs, right? Because for a lot of reasons. I mean, genetically, because we all know that after a while, if you're too separated, it becomes like an inbreeding situation, and you wind up with all kinds of birth defects, and outside of that, it's just the experience of learning from other people, right? So there are certain people
that's
who
the
are
big part.
better and have different traits and can do things a different way. And if we don't allow ourselves to learn from them based on things as trivial as skin color or ethnicity or where you live, regionally, whatever, whatever, I think we just limit ourselves. And I think that we're doing ourselves a disservice at that point.
Got you. Yeah, I think you hinder your ability to prosper or to gain. I do. I think you keep yourself limited inside of a tight little box. Um, I would like to say that before I go anywhere else, I would like to say I applaud Kia for showing up on the show. I applaud her for being such a soldier, that she is in the hospital and been in the hospital, and she's currently still in the hospital, and she's on a oxygen machine. And I think she's doing a breathing treatment right now, but I respect her for being here, and I thank her for being here. She is a wonderful person and soul. Um, now back on the task, I would like to switch over and say, how do we see the role of social media in regulating hate? And and do you think platforms are enough to prevent hate, or doing enough to prevent hate? Excuse me. You guys are gonna have to excuse me tonight. But anyways, May, how do you see social media regulating hate? Do you see you're on social media a lot? Do you see a lot of hate on social media? Do you think platforms are doing enough to prevent hate?
Well, you're a platform, not a publisher, so technically you shouldn't be determining what hate is anyway from a legal perspective. Um, and I feel like there again is a fine line between, um, attacking someone violently and being able to speak your mind, right?
Okay.
So if I'm, just slurring racial and derogatory terms at you, great. But I've gotten flagged on Facebook for saying things like, I don't know, I want to, kick something or throw something off a bridge or whatever, whatever. And that is where I feel our society has almost lost itself, because everything is not an emotional crisis. And you can make a statement that is a little bit more emotionally charged without it having to lead to a school shooting or someone killing themselves. You know, we have we've had to like almost monitor everything that comes out of our mouth, and I hate that about our society. Sometimes I just want to say, you know, outlandish things. I just want to be like, I want to throw myself off a bridge, or I want to just, like just something like we would say from the 80s or 90s, like that's
Okay.
dramatic, but we have no intention of. And now everything is so serious. And people are like, oh my God, call the crisis hotline. I'm like, no, I'm just being dramatic. I had a bad day.
Got you.
That's what I can't say.
I got you, but
And
I'm not
again,
running inside TSA saying I got a bomb.
right, exactly. Well, that's a little different. You know what I mean? But
get
now,
it.
if you're pissed off at TSA and you're like, I want to bomb you fuckers, then that's a little different, right? So it's all
I get it.
connotation at that point.
I get it. I get it. I
And
think
again,
that
that's where the free speech comes in, you know?
yeah, I think that first I'm gonna answer something that you said. I think that social media platforms definitely have to worry about censorship. I think they definitely, because lawsuits come a million in a bucket apiece, and people are looking to find any way to sue somebody. So I think they do. I think they do have to have some kind of ownership in censorship, because let's face it, if you're on this platform and you have low self-esteem and are suicidal, and then you're on this platform and somebody comes at you and hate speeches or hate slurs you, and then bullies you online, and then you go and kill yourself. I mean, you know, the implications possibly from the parents trying to attack the platform is one thing. That's one thing, because they allowed it to happen.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because I think that's interesting, okay? So back in our day, like when the dinosaurs were still walking the earth, right? We actually, within our communities, had worse bullies, right? Like, think about it. We threw
Okay.
Jerry Graham out the second story window when we were in high school. Like, they were not fucking around. Like, the hazing shit was next level. Like,
Okay.
the watch Revenge of the Nerds, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I get it,
what
but
were the
was that
watch-
right or wrong?
Hold on. Wait. Let me just to my point, okay? So, where was the children committing suicide at that point? Guess what? We weren't. Okay? Now, a stranger who you've never seen in your whole life is going to say words to you on a screen, and you're going to go kill yourself? Like, then we're failing as a society. We're failing as parents. It has nothing to do with Facebook. It has to do with the fact that you have a mental illness. If someone you can't even see physically is affecting you to that point emotionally. And I'm sorry and not
You're
sorry.
absolutely right. Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. I agree with you 100%. But the
I'm
fact of the
sorry.
matter, the fact of the matter still remains that there are people that do that. So these platforms are at risk, and I think that they should regulate hate. And I see the role of social media. I don't think that they are regulating, and I definitely don't think they're regulating enough. I have seen so much shit online, and they have restricted me for a little bit of shit, but the shit that I see online, I see people getting shot in the face. I see all kinds of crazy shit online, and it's like, these things, they don't regulate enough. That's what I'm trying to say. And I agree with you, May, on a lot of things. I agree with you, and Kia, I hope you're all right. At this time, I'm gonna go to commercial break. Host Macy and Kia. Today we have a very
called like the International Coach Federation, but
just by seeing who I am.
You sound like a narcissist right now. It sounds like
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Now let's dig into the topic of speech regulations and freedom of speech. Uh-oh. Damn, I got this shit. Uh-oh. What? Uh-oh. What do we got here? Oh, these are the First Amendment. Excuse me. You guys are gonna have to excuse. These are my First Amendment rights. The First Amendment is a constitution that protects several rights. Freedom of speech. I don't know why I didn't have that screen. That screen should have popped up. But forgive me for that once again. Freedom of speech. The government cannot restrict freedom of speech, but some speech is less protected, such as fighting words, obscenities, and advocating. the advocacy of legal action. The freedom of press. The First Amendment protects the freedom of press, which is similar to the right to free speech. Freedom of religion. The government cannot make laws that establish a religion or prohibit the free exercise of religion. The freedom of assembly. The First Amendment protects the right to peacefully assemble with a group. That is peacefully. The right to petition. The First Amendment protects the right to petition the government, the right to petition the government to address grievances. And I would also like to add James Madison, a champion of freedom of speech, the press, the religious liberty, and the primary author of the First Amendment. That's who is the author of the First Amendment. I wanted to add that in just in case somebody knew James Madison was the person who wrote it. Anyways, where are we at? Okay. Do different cultures around the world regulate hate and speech?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, I agree. I think they do. And I pulled up 5. I see United States. Matter of fact, hold on one second. Let me do something, May, right quick. Let me see something right quick. Bear with me one second. I have somebody that's with me from Florida. His name is Ty Stick. And I'm gonna bring him in here with this man. He's gonna finish the rest of the show. He's gonna finish the rest of the show until Kia gets right. All right? Is that all right with you?
Yeah,
all right then.
I'm good.
All right then. Ty, back up from the camera so I can see you, my boy. Ty, back up from the camera so I can see you, my boy. You hear me? All right. So, anyways, as I dig into this, I need you to back up from the camera, Ty, so I can see your face on camera. If you look at the top, you'll see 3 boxes. You inside one of the boxes. United States, the definition. The U.S. has a broad... Yeah, of course I do. All right. So the U.S. has a broad interpretation of free speech under the First Amendment. Hate speech is generally protected unless it unites violence or constitutes a true threat. The Supreme Court rulings, such as Brandenburg versus Ohio in 1969, established that speech can only be limited if it incites imminent lawless actions. In the UK, hate speech is prohibited under a public order in the Act of 1986, which makes it an offense to use threatening or abusive, insulting words or behavior with intent to stir racial hatred. The key legislation made a Racial and Religious Hatred Act of 2006 that extends protections against increment of hatred based on religion or belief. In Germany has strict laws against speech, particularly given its historical context. The German Penal Code prohibits incitement of hatred against segments of the population. All right, they have segments 130 and 131 of the Penal Code that criminalize hate speech, including the Holocaust denial and Nazi propaganda. In Canada, which is our close neighbor, Canada's criminal code prohibits hate speeches that promotes hatred against identifiable groups. However, these protections for artistic expressions in public debate. So I'm sorry for that interruption. I said hate speech that promotes hatred against identifiable groups. Section 319 of the Criminal Code addresses hate propaganda, emphasizing a balance between freedom and expression and protecting marginalized communities. And once the last one, Australia. Australia's laws against speech are found in various state, federal, including Racial Discrimination Act of 1975. Section 18C of the Racial Discrimination Act makes it unlawful to offend, insult, humiliate, or intimidate someone based on their race, color, or their origin. Excuse me. That's funny. But anyways, in your view, have these regulations hindered or helped our viewpoints? May, can I start with you? Or bring Ty in while I start with you?
I mean, I think it depends. I think that certain things are good and certain things are bad, right? Like, I don't think that you should be able to accost someone in public, with just a bunch of slurs that do nothing but cause derogatory and harmful feelings. However, in places like Germany, where they're picking and choosing what they can tell or say about history, like, maybe it's not so good. So I think
Absolutely.
that for me, it comes down to whether or not the speech is inciting violence or some kind of emotional, um, like it's exciting someone emotionally for no good reason. You know, again, sometimes there are good reasons, right? Like, look, if people didn't go to war with Germany, we would have, they probably would have taken over the world, and some of the things they were doing were really terrible. So there has to be that line, but where we draw that line is where it gets tricky because, again, it all depends on who's in power. Just because something's hateful to one person doesn't mean that it is to the other, and vice versa. Um, a couple years ago, I had gotten into an argument with someone online, and they had said that, if things had been different, that they would have done the same things that the slave owners did. And I said, well, then how does that make it any better? You know, Trading one evil for another doesn't change the outcome. It just changes the group that's marginalized.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ty,
So,
oh, excuse me. Keep going, May. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Keep going.
no, no, you're fine. I was just going to say, so that's why it becomes such a slippery slope because,
Absolutely.
that's why I hate that they label all these kids nowadays with all of these different illnesses, and I understand it's for insurance purposes or whatever, but what if one day those people become, the victim of hate or the victim of persecution? Labels are never a good thing in my opinion. So that's just my personal opinion.
Absolutely. Ty, I want to know, in your view, have these regulations hindered or helped our viewpoints? And I know you was listening backstage, so I want to ask: has these regulations on freedom of speech, have they hindered or helped our viewpoints?
Truthfully, it hasn't helped us.
Okay.
The only way it can help us is if everybody is on the same page. You know what I'm saying? It's going to hinder us because it's always going to be somebody else who's not going to be on the page that you're on. You feel what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's going to you're going to feel a certain type of way. They're going to feel a certain type of way, and it's never going to come to a conglomerate where everybody is together.
Absolutely.
So at the same, but hold on, at the same time, like she was saying, we can be here. I could be at the North Pole. You could be at the South Pole. Until we figure out a way we could meet at the equator, then it's never gonna work out.
Absolutely. I'd like
Until
to
we can
ask you, Ty. Ty, at this time, I'd like to ask you who you are. Tell me a little bit about Toxic since you showed up on the show. I'd like to know a little bit about you. I'd like people to know a little bit about you. So give me a little spill of who Toxic is, and let my co-host Majine know who Toxic is.
I'm Toxic. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. Me and Al been kicking it for a minute. I met Al a long time ago. It was my long time ago. That was my boy. You know what I'm saying? But we met on the music tip. And I done went down some roads. He done went down some roads, and our paths uncrossed again. So we trying to figure it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely, my boy. Okay, so at this time right here, I am gonna go to another commercial. I'll be right back.
You know that won't play like me. Something that your money won't reach. Then over me, over me, yeah. You know they won't play like me. Something that your money won't reach. Yeah, she moves so sexually. It's a million, it's a million. It's a million. It's a million. Gotta keep them pockets greased up, can't slip. Gotta get my mama's new whip, new crib. Got your shawty listen from the city, from the sticks. And no matter where I throw it, yeah, she know it's gon'
All right, let me bring Ty back in one more time. But tonight, our random question, and tonight we have a section of our show called Randoms, and on this section, we get random questions from the audience and random questions from our viewers, and we answer them. So hold on one second. Let me try to get all this right. I'm trying to do too many things at one time. The category is from media and news. What's one story you think that didn't get enough attention this year? And I'll start with Ty. Ty, let me go ahead and start with you since you're on the show.
Okay. What we in? We in September?
Yeah, we in September.
We didn't get enough attention this year.
Yeah, what didn't get enough attention this year in the media?
How I don't even like to go there with it.
Okay, go
Well,
anywhere.
but it is what it is. How never in the history of politics in the United States that incumbent president has been told that he can't run, he can't defend his office.
Okay. Okay.
Which I'm not defending him for that. I'm not on his side for that. But I'm not on the other side. But that's just weird to me, bro.
You saying that didn't get enough? You saying it didn't get enough attention in the media? Okay. Okay.
not in my meeting.
Okay. Not in your media. I think that was all over the damn tabloids. That was all over the tabloids. But I agree with you. There's some messed up things in our politics. May, can I ask you what's one story that didn't get enough attention this year?
I don't even know. There's just so much. I don't even think I can pick one.
Okay.
All right, Ali, add me back in.
We allowed a president that essentially had dementia to quote unquote be our leader for almost a whole year when he was clearly physically, mentally, and whatever else incapable of walking, never mind anything else.
I'm not arguing about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kia, since you just came back in, the question is from Media and News, and it says, what's one story you think didn't get enough attention this year in the media?
I'm sticking with the politics round with this one too, though. I ain't even finna hold you. How y'all gonna try to assassinate Trump and ain't nobody go after Kamala? Ain't nobody go after Biden? I'm with them. Like, yo, how you the only one out here getting assassinated and life attempted on your ass? Like, what's up?
Okay.
What you got going on?
Okay. I agree.
I need the real background. There's more to it. They just not telling us everything.
I agree. See, I'm gonna say something different from all you guys. What'd you say, May?
I said a lot of people hate Trump. I don't think it was weird that they tried to kill him at all. They've been threatening him since he was president. Like, I would have thought it was weirder if Kamala got hit than him.
True.
Like,
Absolutely.
Can
I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
What's that, Ty?
A real good question. Okay.
What's that?
Trump got prosecuted, right?
Okay.
Trump is a felon, right?
Nah, you can't say that. He wasn't. He hasn't been. He hasn't been found guilty
Yes, he was found guilty.
of what?
I don't care. I don't care about that. He could have been found guilty of whatever. I don't care about that. All I'm saying is, all my
What's your
brothers who
question?
all my brothers who have been found guilty, who not allowed to vote, right? Who are not allowed
They
to vote.
changed the felon not to vote law. I'm a felon and I can vote. They changed that law.
No, you are able to vote when but that's not for everybody, bro.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
not for.
All right. I still didn't get a question from you, but okay. I was gonna say that the story that I
But
thought didn't get enough attention was during the eclipse. There was an anomaly, a huge ass anomaly found off the coast of Africa. And it was under the water, and it was they had all kind of video on this shit online, but it had no media presence. It had like a 13-second clip in the media, but some kind of crazy ass shit was underneath the water during the eclipse that happened this year. Did you guys hear about
what,
that? You
what
Nope.
guys
is you
can
talking?
Google it. It's right off the. You guys can YouTube it. You guys can Google it. It's right off the coast of Africa. It was in the water. It was humongous, like a huge. I don't know. They showed something under the water. That's all I know. It was
I heard
something.
about it, but I didn't really sit back and do like the research for it. Like I'm big on like the
Hold on.
moon and everything, and like
What?
taking the fire as pictures, but I never really like dug into like the aspects of what they were talking about with it. Like I found it
I was
as
watching
cool
that
as
shit.
image,
I
yeah,
was watching
but
that
I
shit. That
didn't
shit was
do the
crazy.
research for that.
That shit was crazy, for real, for real. That shit was crazy. Okay. So, yeah, let's do this. Let's do this right now. Let's go ahead.
What he doing? You
Okay.
want?
So, at this time in the show, it's the time to sound off. And ladies, you guys know what sound off means. It's a time that you can display any kind of thing that you have to say about the show that you didn't get to get your point across, or a time that you can spill a gripe, or a time that you could just say, fuck the world today, and this is why. So let me get it. Let me start with Kia.
My apologies, y'all. These people in here, they always come and give me my breathing treatments at this point, especially when the night shift come in. So I do apologize for that. Yeah, I fuck with it. Like tonight was a good show. I really I really need to sit back and do a whole lot of more research and like be able to articulate the difference between hate speech and the freedom of speech and all of that because like I paid attention to history. Never really gave a fuck because I'm gonna say what I want to say. You fuck with it, you fuck with it. You don't. Oh well, like you know what I mean. Take it how you take it. Take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a shot. I don't care. Like that's just that. But no. But yeah, it's been a fuck today kind of day for me, y'all. I listen. I try
That's why
not
I
to.
said that shit. Okay. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save us two for last, mate. Ty, let me get you sound off about something today. I don't care what you got to talk about. What's up?
Hey, it's just life is life, bro. You know,
Yes.
I got a lot of
Yes.
stuff. I got a lot of stuff going on in life. Like I ain't expressing right now. You know, but everybody stay true to themselves. Stay true to y'all, and just do what y'all got to do to make it for each other. When I say each other, I don't mean me, you. I mean, when I say each other, I mean for everybody in the room with you. I got my two babies laying in the bed with me right now. When I say make it for each other, I mean make it for them. Make it for their baby mama. Their baby mama out working out. They baby mama, my baby mama out working. They mama out working out. It's just all about we gotta make it. You know, we could talk amongst each other and try to figure stuff out.
Hmm.
but until you can figure what you're trying to figure out within was who you can touch. I'm touching my babies right now. I got 2 daughters laying in the bed with me right now, and you can until you can figure out what we can touch right now, and we ain't gonna never make it, bro.
Got
You
you.
know,
Proud father. Proud
and you
father.
and Al, you know me, bro. You
I
know
know
what I'm
you.
saying?
I know you. That's why that's the reason why I know what's going on. May, do you have anything you want to sound off on?
Well, I think that this whole thing comes down to what my father used to say, and that's you could do whatever you want in life as long as you're willing to suffer the consequences, right?
That's right.
But personally, I feel that when we speak to each other and when we do have things like conflict and so on and so forth, if we want to meet any form of resolution, then we really need to be mindful of what we're saying and how we're saying it, and to make sure that we keep it the emotional impact as low as possible while we're doing it. And that's very difficult when you feel emotional about something, whether it's right or wrong, because our tendency as humans to attack or confront or, so on and so forth. So, again, I don't feel it should be regulated except for within ourselves. And I think that it comes down to, like we were saying, integrity and moral value, and you wanting to hold yourself to a standard in which you're not presenting as ignorant or belligerent or argumentative or any of those type of things, and that you are looking for good resolution when you're communicating.
Absolutely. I'd like to sound off. Huh? What you say? What you say, Kia?
I want to say something else real quick. I'm with Maygene. I
Cheers.
feel like we really like self-educate ourselves and like, really would have a real deep understanding as to all of the different aspects and the legalities of how everywhere else contributes and like considers the way that they think and stuff, the way that they think and their views are. It'll be easier for us to try to get all of us on one accord versus trying to just be like, oh, well, this is what, this is that. Like, I feel like a lot of us don't educate ourselves. We don't spend the proper timing to educate ourselves in order to have the conversations that we should be able to have in order for us to get better places, for us to all come to one level.
Absolutely. Ty, to answer your question, or not to answer your question, to agree with you. I agree with a lot, and I understood exactly what you're talking about, my brother. This show right here, the Gag-Order, this show is meant to bring people together to talk about the issues that we have to face inside society so that we can get on the same page and we can understand each other through conversation. It's kind of a building block to get people to come together and talk about what the fuck is going on and give advice. See, the more people that come by, the more people that talk, the more people that give advice, the more ideas we hear, the more we're able to marginalize what the fuck is really going on, and we can understand, a little bit better of how to tackle another problem that somebody else has faced. Children learn by hearing stories from their elders.
For
All
sure.
this show is doing is taking stories from each and every one of us, young, old, and everybody in between, and we're learning from each other. That's all this show is about. And I'm so glad that you showed up with me tonight, and my co-hosts know what time it is. It's all love right here. I would like to end the show, and I would like to say, as we wrap tonight's episode, I want to leave you with a thought that weighs heavily on my mind. Certain words are stained with a history of pain and oppression, and still is being used in ways that normalizes impact. While other marginalized communities see their identities and experiences being legally protected, these inconsistencies reveal a troubling trend in how we navigate the complex landscape of hate, respect, and free speech. We must confront these disparities head on. The acceptance of harmful language in some contexts, while contrasting the projection afforded to others, highlights the urgent need for change. As we engage in this dialogue, Let's advocate for equality, a system that respects the dignity of all individuals. One cannot do it alone. Together, we can foster a society that not only recognizes but actively challenges harmful speech, ensuring that our commitment to justice and respect extends to everyone, regardless of their background. The time for change is now. Thank you. This is the Gag Order. I appreciate you guys for watching, and you guys have a wonderful night.